for a limited time, $1 gets you full access to all the automotive industry news and content CBTnews.com has to offer. CBT News. Subscribe today. Welcome to CBT News with Bridget Fitzpatrick.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to CBT News. I'm Bridget Fitzpatrick. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's Chris Riggins with today's top stories.
Thanks, Bridget. Starting off our coverage, Lincoln has revealed a newly redesigned version of its best-selling Nautilus Luxury SUV. The Ford subsidiary showed off the updated model on Monday, unveiling a suite of interior features called Lincoln Rejuvenate in the process. According to the brand's press release, lighting, digital scenting elements, dashboard visuals, and other additions provide a multi-sensory in-cabin experience. The car is slated to launch in 2024 and will be imported from China to the US, a first for Lincoln. Up next, luxury EV maker Polestar is calling its newest edition, the Polestar 4, an SUV coupe. The brand showed off the car at the Shanghai Auto Show on April 17th, giving audiences their first glimpse of the vehicle's unique shape. The model has no rear window and will instead use wide-angle cameras to provide visibility for the driver. The company's spokespersons explained that the windowless design will give passengers more space while allowing for a longer sunroof. The Polestar 4 is the automaker's fastest installment to date and will launch with dual motor options capable of reaching 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. The Biden administration is partnering with several major brands to install over 100,000 new EV chargers across the U.S. Participants include Walmart, Uber, PG&E, and other businesses, in addition to organizations such as the National Automobile Dealers Association and the Center for Sustainable Energy. The move would bring the nationwide total to 235,000 chargers, almost half of the president's target of 500,000. Earlier this month, the White House also unveiled strict rules for vehicle emissions and set ambitious sales quotas for EVs. And wrapping up today, a new study by IC Cars claims that Tesla is the most recalled car in the US. Using data obtained by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the research firm found that the EV brand's models took up 4 of the top 5 spots for projected recalls, with the Model Y seeing a rate 15.6 times above the national average. Meanwhile, vehicles expected to see the least recalls in the coming years include the Mini convertible, the Lexus NX 300h, and the Lincoln MKZ Hybrid. Don't go anywhere. Coming up next is Jonathan Banks, Vice President and General Manager for Vehicle Valuations at J.D. Power. We'll be right back.
Delivering the news dealers count on for 10 years. Subscribe today and join thousands of other automotive professionals. CBT News, 10 years strong.
Why are used car prices still so high, and how long will they stay that way? Here to answer these questions and more is Jonathan Banks, Vice President and General Manager for Vehicle Valuations at J.D. Power, who joins us today on Inside Automotive. Take a look.
So what is your assessment? I know this is a loaded question, but what's your assessment of this incredible used car market that we see today?
Well, it's been a surprise. I can tell you that. In January, we were expecting a continuation of the declines, very moderate continuation of the declines that we had witnessed at the end of 2022. As you mentioned, it's the prices are up again, and February and March we saw prices increase. March, it's not a shocker because of you see prices increase actually every March, at least since the recession, because of tax rebates. Sure. So prices are up 4% in March, which isn't crazy. Kind of fits into the range, sort of, kind of. Yeah. But the rise in February was a shock, and the rise in general is a shock, being that used car prices almost are back at that peak that we saw early last year. So wow. It's very interesting, and very the consumer resilience, I guess there's something to be said about that.
So, all of this talk about high interest rates and gas prices and inflation and all of that we hear each day, if you tune into any of the business channels or what have you, you just want to, curl up in your bed and pull the sheets over yourself and just go, I don't want to get out. But all of that is kind of noise, because whenever I talk to dealers around the country, I know you do as well, they're going, no, we're having a great month. Having a great January, great February, great March. And how do you explain that?
Yeah, well, there's a few things that we've been looking at J.D. Power about demand, right? So if you kind of look at one cut where you look at the number of vehicles that weren't bought because they weren't available during COVID, and it equals about 2.5 million buyers.
Okay.
So if you think about like all those 2.5 million, that's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines. At some point, they need to replace their car. As you know, we talked about this before. The average age of the vehicle on the road is at an all-time high. Not surprising.
No.
But at some point you have to replace it. So there's all this sort of pent-up demand for vehicles. Meanwhile, even though inventories on the new vehicle side have improved, they're still only at about 1.3 million, according to J.D. Power estimates. Yeah. Now that's better than under a million, which we were facing last year.
Sure.
But if you look at long term, well below we've seen it between 2.5 and 3 million. So there's still that demand coming from folks that, gosh, I can't afford a new vehicle. They're really expensive. We'll get into the interest rates, what manufacturers are doing about it in a bit, but so that the used vehicles are still a good substitute for new.
Right.
There's still not that many new available. People need cars. We have a really great labor market, which now I'm even hearing the labor market is going to, keep us from having a dramatic recession. So hopefully that's true, that we have a soft landing from a recession, but we now have crazy used car prices. I'll take that trade-off.
Yeah.
All right, be sure to watch this interview in its entirety right here at cbtnews.com. That wraps up our show for today, but we invite you to join us back here again tomorrow morning for all the latest news and trends impacting the retail automotive industry. And be sure to follow us on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Bridget Fitzpatrick. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
CBT News, your #1 resource for auto industry news and content. Join the #1 most watched newscast in the automotive industry. CBT News. Subscribe today.